All right, people. I'm sure by now you would have heard that 4 ISIS brides. I actually have a problem with this label. They're not ISIS brides. They are ISIS terrorists. Some of these women, possibly these 4 women, facilitated the rape of Yazidi women at the hands of their husbands, encouraged their children to do the beheading. So they're not just brides like some damsels in distress. They were full-blown ISIS terrorists. So from here on, I'd refer them as ISIS terrorists, not ISIS brides. So 4 ISIS terrorists, along with their 9 children, are making a comeback to Australia. So this news story blew up about a couple of months ago, and the Albanese government made excuses, and they said, no, we're not facilitating their return. They were very tight-lipped. They were doing what politicians do, spin doctoring. So the Albanese government quietly issued them the Australian passports. Instead of just coming out then and saying, hey, look, we can't do anything about it. They were tight-lipped about that. So what happens once you issue passports? Well, they travel on those passports. So these 4 ISIS terrorists, along with their 9 children, are expected to come to Australia probably next month. Actually, they tried to come to Australia in March, but Ahmed al-Shara's government actually blocked them and said, no, you stay in the refugee camp. So anyway, so the 2 sides of the argument. The Australian government is now saying, well, they are Australian citizens and we can't really block them from coming to Australia. However, once they land in Australia, they will face the full force of the law. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know how they're going to successfully prosecute these criminals, because how are you going to corroborate evidence? How are you going to prove that these individuals actually committed violent crime? So I don't know. I'm no expert, but hold on to that thought. Seeking a conviction is very important. Now, the public is saying, don't let them come in. They deliberately went to a conflict zone and they shouldn't be allowed in. There is a third option too, as some of you might know. Recently, Shabana Mahmood cancelled the UK citizenship of this British guy because he's a massive Putin simp. Now, you guys know how I feel about those Westerners who simp for totalitarian, authoritarian dictators like Putin or Khamenei or Xi Jinping or Kim Jong-un. I don't like these people, but it seems a little excessive that a white British man who's culturally, ethnically, generationally British, but his UK citizenship can be cancelled so easily, even though I don't like him. Have a listen.
Just because I have the fascination with Russia, I don't see what harm that does. If I'm guilty of a crime, charge me with a crime. If I've done something, tell me what I've done. Say, you've done this, you've broken this law, put me before a court. But I haven't done anything.
Mark Bullen is a former British police officer who's been stripped of his UK citizenship because of links to Russia. Are you a threat to national security?
No, that's ridiculous. You know, I'm not a threat to anyone. I'm a 45-year-old father of 4 who works for a football club. I don't see how I could threaten anyone.
So anyway, so he's got Russian citizenship as well. And Shabana Mahmood cancelled his citizenship because there is a clause in the UK's Citizenship Act of 1981 that allows Home Secretaries to cancel people's citizenships if it's conducive to the public good. That's it. They can just use that and they can cancel anyone's citizenship. It's that easy. Actually, for once, something is actually easy in the UK. So I looked it up. Does such a provision exist in the Australian law? Australia actually tried that. So the Australian Citizenship Act of 2007, which was expanded in 2015, and then later they added a similar amendment in 2022, which would allow our Home Affairs Minister to strip citizenship of people who are found involved in terrorist activities. However, it got shut down by our highest court, the High Court. Yes, in Australia, the highest court is the High Court, not the Supreme Court. So the High Court of Australia struck it down and they said that this action is punitive. Punishing people is not the job of the executive. It's the job of the courts. That's why you cannot strip any Australian of his citizenship. And that would be in breach of Section 3 of the Australian Constitution. Sorry, I'm not a constitutional expert. I just did some research. I was just trying to find out what is the most reasonable option. I, of course, would not want these ISIS terrorists to come to Australia. I actually want a way, a loophole, a provision in our constitution or in our laws to go to Bankstown, people who preach anti-Australian sentiments, people who want to install Sharia in Australia, people who want to overthrow the Australian way of life. I even want them to be stripped of their citizenships.
Yet that there is a Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala waiting to be established. We forget that every single day that we live without the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are being dishonored. We are being belittled. The blood of the Muslims have become cheap.
But unfortunately, that's not how things work. We are, after all, a country of laws. The rule of law is a fundamental Australian or Western value, or at least the value of Anglo countries. So we would need a constitutional amendment if we want to do something about it. And good luck with that. We will need a massive majority. And this is why I've been saying in my other videos too, that I don't think it's that easy to tackle this problem that is coming at full speed to all Western liberal democracies. These people are coming to destroy our way of life, and we seem helpless because we have a lot of wokey idiots who will stand in the way, who will protect these people. So anyway, so the UK, for once, has a system where they can actually just strip anyone of their citizenship. And I don't know why they don't use it more often. You can strip Mohammed Hijab's UK citizenship, deport his ass back to Egypt because it's conducive to the public good.
Prepare for them what you can from strength and from horses that you will terrorize, you will frighten and terrorize the adu Allah, the enemies of Allah and your enemies. I will, subhanallah, I will put fear and terror in the hearts of the enemy. So ألقي في قلوب الذين كفروا الرعب, terror. فاضربوا فوق الأعناق. Hit them above the necks. واضربوا منهم كل بنان, and cut their fingers. Why the finger? Because they can't fight. You disable a very intelligent way. You cut their hand, cut their neck, finish, dead. Allah is telling you how to fight. SubhanAllah, if you noticed, He's giving you the moves. And the most important move, فَاضْرِبُوا مِنْهُمْ فَوْقَ كُلَّ بَنَانٍ فَاضْرِبُوا فَوْقَ الْأَعْنَاقِ. Go for the one-touch kill. Yeah. فَإِذَا لَقِيتُمُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَضَرْبُوا الرِّقَابِ. Surah Muhammad. If you see the ones with فَضَرْبُوا الرِّقَابِ, this keeps coming up. Either hit the neck or hit above the neck, which is, some say, al-ras.
You could do that to so many Islamists in Britain, but I don't know why they're doing it. Bushra Sheikh, the Islamist propagandist, has just traveled to Iran. She's posting videos daily. She's got full access to the internet, while 90 million Iranians don't have access to the internet. She's repeating the talking points of the IRGC, and I think that's a pretty good reason to strip her of her UK citizenship. But Shabana Mahmood, she's willing to strip a white man of his UK citizenship just because he's a Putin simp, but she's not going to do it to Bushra Sheikh, who is a simp of the IRGC. Make it make sense. So I think the government has a point. I'm not just going to criticize them just for the hell of it. They're right. If an Australian citizen asks for a passport, then the Australian government has to give it to them. And when they come to Australia, then seek a conviction maybe then you can cancel their citizenship. But what about those 9 children who are possibly going to be radical, hardcore Islamist terrorists? I'm sorry, they're going to be. And what are we going to do about this? Are we going to wait for them to blow up? Are we going to wait for them to mow innocent Australians down? Unfortunately, yes, that's the world we live in. Unless the citizens of the free world firmly decide that we are not going to tolerate this problem of Islamism, unless we change the culture, unless we mobilize the people, unless we form a majority government where we can actually bring about constitutional changes, this problem is going to go from bad to worse. So I think we cannot stop them from coming to Australia, but we can see criminal convictions against them. And then maybe if they are dual nationals, only then we can strip them of Australian citizenships. However, if we can't make constitutional changes, we can increase custodial sentences of people found in terrorist activities. Put them away for 40 years. For example, if those women know that they'll be going to prison for 30 to 40 years, they might not want to come. They might choose to stay in a refugee camp in Syria. That's one way of discouraging people from coming to Australia. I also think that our ministers for Home Affairs should have the power, again, that has to be done legally, and I don't know, you'll need to form a majority government to be able to bring about these laws, where we give radical Islamists a choice that we're going to charge you for your hate speech, we're going to put you away for 20 years, or you have a choice to renounce your citizenship and go to your ancestral country. I reckon most people will choose to go to their ancestral country. For example, Mohammed Hijab, he's spread so much hatred over the years. Start charging these people and start giving them 2 options: long prison sentences or renounce your citizenship and go away. I reckon we need that law. I reckon that law will be very useful. But I don't know how you're going to do this. We're probably going to, you're going to need a lot of parliamentarians to agree on that. That's why I don't like politics. I like to talk. It's simpler.